Now, a Hutch's weather update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
Hello, everybody. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you on Hutch's weather with an update. A tornado watch has been issued for the western reaches of North Dakota. Does not include Bismarck or Minot, and there are severe thunderstorms beginning to develop. So we're going to give you an update on the timing of these storms, what we're seeing right now, and just do a little bit of a informational update on what's going on right now. We're going to start right away with a look at the latest radar. So let's get right into it here as we look off to the west. The red counties, that's the tornado watch. That's been issued for parts of western North Dakota only at this particular time. It's in effect for the next 4 hours and 22 minutes. So as we approach the about 10, 11 o'clock at night time frame here. So let's depend on what time zone you're in. 9 o'clock Mountain, 10 o'clock Central. Tornadoes are possible. They could be strong tornadoes as well. Widespread damage from damaging straight-line winds will be possible. And as we talked about, just some ridiculous hail. Over 3 inches in diameter is my thought for the evening hours. Over 80-mile-per-hour winds will be possible from a few of these storms. And we have our first tornado warning in North Dakota. Let's get right down into it now as the storm is pushing its way across the border. It's just not far from the Beach and Webo areas of Montana. It's north of Interstate 94 right here is the storm. Just issued the tornado warning. Let's see if it's a confirmed, it's radar indicated tornado with ping pong ball sized hail. With regards to that particular storm. Looking at a couple of different radar sites here, we're seeing different reflectivities from it. Let's go to one that's just a little bit closer and see what we can see from this one here. This is not going to show us what we need. Let's go out to the Minot area and let's look at Glasgow. Okay, let's go on in. So as we take a look at the tornado warned storm here, again, ping pong ball sized hail estimated by Doppler radar. Unfortunately, this is in a part of the region where I call it radar no man's land. It is a long ways away from any radar site out there. If you're watching on Facebook, hello, please hit the follow button on Hutch's page here. I'd love to have you follow. Nathan, good to see you on board. And if you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you have any observations of what you're seeing there. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching very much. Continuing to cover these storms out here, out in the western reaches of North Dakota and eastern Montana and the big sky country right now. Drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from as well. I would love to have your likes and subscriptions on the YouTube channel. Again, looking at the reflectivity, we're looking very high in the cloud, but do you see the bright reds and the bright whites next to each other? That is evidence that even at elevation, very high off the ground, we're seeing very tight rotation with this storm. This is the kind of signature that we would look for a classic supercell and tornadic signature from far away. It's strong inbound winds, strong outbound winds right next to each other with no zero velocity in between them. That would be gray. So because there's no zero velocity, there is some very tight and strong rotation. Good to have you on board, Deb. Thanks for watching from the Black Hills of South Dakota, Amy, as western North Dakota is getting hit. This is up on the way through the northern portions of the Theodore Roosevelt National Park on your way up into McKenzie County down there. And this is just about ready to cross over toward the Highway 85 corridor. So if you are in these rural areas, this is very rural right now, but if you're in these rural areas, the tornado warning is for the hour of 5 o'clock in the evening. It's moving to the east at only 20 miles per hour with its hail potential. So as we take a look at this storm's trajectory and show you the path it's moving from the area of rotation out the east-southeasterly direction, and it's moving at about 20 miles per hour. Let's see if we can measure how far it is away from Manning. Manning, 43 miles away from you, and a little bit of an idea of when the storm will be in these areas of rural northern parts of Billings County as it exits out of areas north of Beach right now. Let's put this at 28 miles per hour. I always estimate the speed just a pinch higher because there could be a delay in this transmission to you, whether your side is buffering or mine. I want you to have plenty of notice here. A Doppler indicated tornado will be very close to Fairfield in 43 minutes and on towards Manning by 88 minutes. So it will be in the confines of this box that you see here, the polygon warned by the National Weather Service office. Good to have you on board. Nosley, Good to have you on board. Dan, thank you for the stars. Park River, Dan, good to have you on board. Dusty from Grand Forks is watching. A lot of folks watching, and this one's garnered the attention of a very famous storm chaser in the nation. Reed Timmer is out chasing this particular storm, I do believe. Here is another storm that's festering up, heading into Stark County, Dickinson area. It's south of Medora right now. This one we could probably see from Medora. There is tight rotation with this storm. Let me tell you the details. This says tornado possible from the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Bismarck, North Dakota. They're the ones that handle these storms. Hail to 1 1/2 inches in diameter and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts are possible. And the warning also is in effect until 5:30 in the evening for all of these partial counties. So Golden Valley, Billings, Slope, and Stark counties in westernmost parts of North Dakota. This storm moving east at 30 miles per hour. Ping pong balls and 60-mile-per-hour gusts from the straight line direction. The tornado possible tag is possibly going to be something that you hear on a lot of the warnings tonight, and that would be the fact that we do have this inbound wind showing up here as we look in on the green dots. Those green pixels would show a fairly stout inbound wind next to a fairly stout outbound wind. And the direction the radar is in makes a big difference on whether this is rotation or rolling in the atmosphere. But this storm showing some signs early of it did drop, and it's cycling right now, says Ellie. Chad, thank you for the update. So there is some reports of some nastiness with this storm. I'm assuming on this strong tornado warned storm up here. That's the one, Chad, I believe I saw them tracking out there. Look how intense the wind is on this particular storm right now. Let's see if we've got any other displays. When these storms pick up debris, and again, as we go in, it's crossing right over the county line right now. It's on the Golden Valley Billings County line, crossing towards Highway 85 that runs north of Dickinson right there through the oil patch and through the northern branches of the Theodore Roosevelt National Park. So anyone out having fun camping in these areas, this is a very violent storm and possibly capable of a tornado. Let's take a look at the North Dakota road site. I like to use these. Again, a lot of these, they're made for watching road conditions, but sometimes we get a view of the sky. Here is a look at the area of concern here right now. Let's see if we can see this one approaching from this particular Grassy Butte camera. You can see the low-hanging clouds on the horizon out there. This is a little ways away from the main event here, but it's at least an idea of what we're seeing. Let's look from Watford City down and see what we're seeing south from Watford City. When we take a look, a bunch of dark skies. Right there on the very far left edge, you can see the dark clouds. That's not really close enough to give us any detail on the storm. Now, when we go into Medora, that might be our best view up to the north. Beach in Medora looking north. It's very hilly country there, as you know. I, being from Montana, just love the country out in the west, the Badlands of North Dakota leading into parts of eastern Montana. Incredible scenery out there. You can see the buttes out here enough in the distance to storm, but you're looking along Interstate 94, not north of it right there. So a little bit difficult to see too far. Let me get out away from the park there and take a look on the east edge of Theodore Roosevelt. Now we can start to see some of the darker clouds. Again, this is a fair piece north of Interstate 94 right now. So that storm, very dangerous right now. Thank you very much for your input. Twin Valley, Deborah, good to have you on board. And live, Dustin says that there is a funnel cloud that is sighted with that particular storm. So we're passing information along. I'm looking at the National Weather Service forecast feed from Bismarck right here in real time, and we have some pictures of all kinds of nonsense going on with these storms out there. So rotating wall cloud has been warned for. Okay, we've got the Air Resources Board out in western North Dakota that operates McKenzie County, and they are reporting a rotating wall cloud. And off-duty National Weather Service person out there has a funnel cloud southeast of Trotters, a third of the way down, no signs of ground contact. Tornado warning is out for that storm. So that's the word of mouth on what's going on with these storms right here that you see on the radar in western North Dakota. These are a long ways away from the National Weather Service Doppler radar. There are radars down here in Bowman. The Bowman radar is what is used by the folks at the Air Resources Board to do their operations out there. And those operations include helping to seed these clouds to quell things like large hail, but this is a terrible atmospheric situation tonight. We have a lot of rising energy in the atmosphere for rising air to support huge hail, and that's what we're seeing. These radars are wonderful. They help us see in areas where we can't. We can see lower slices through the cloud like this one moving toward the Dickinson area. Let's take a look at the let's see. Let's just look at the basic velocity from this. Not able to see much on that particular scan. It's not, let's try this one. That's the reflectivity. So these radars not necessarily tuned in to give us all of the same product of the National Weather Service Doppler radars as well, and their range isn't quite as high. Here's another radar out in that Williston area, and it's going to be on the northern fringe of those storms. So suffice it to say, we have a tornado-warned storm with eyeballs on the ground out there in the western part of North Dakota, including storm chaser Reed Timmer. You've heard of that name before if you enjoyed watching some of his work over the decades of chasing storms. Storm system heading in the general direction of Dickinson. Let's go ahead and analyze this right quick for you folks in Belfield and on the southern fringes, south of I-94, south on 85. That's going to cross towards Belfield right now. Looking at the loop from this storm, you can see its movement very slow. I mean, very slow in the last few scans. The National Weather Service has just issued a tornado warning on this Belfield storm. Tornado warning is now been issued. It's a radar indicated and golf balls now. So we have golf ball sized hail from this storm as the intensity picks up on this storm moving towards Belfield. If you're in Belfield or anywhere on the Highway 85 corridor south of Interstate 94 there at the turnoff at the oil fields there, you want to make sure that you're seeking shelter. Get out of the man camps, get into a sturdy structure. These are going to be some volatile storms, and we can tell by the radar signatures on these that the winds that they're creating inside the storms are quite strong. We showed you earlier the shear and spin in the storm. It's right here. That's the spin in the storm. That spin, let's get the latest from the Weather Service's warning here. It's in effect until 5:15. That storm is capable of a tornado. It's moving east at 45 miles per hour, and golf balls could be falling from the skies from this particular storm. So here's a look at this storm moving off to the east. It's only moving. I'm going to speed it up just a pinch because of that delay in broadcast time that we've talked about there. And we'll put that in and we'll hit the calculate button. Literally, South Hart is an hour away. If you've ever played on the golf course out there at South Hart, I have. It's beautiful country. Be prepared for this storm, though, to be near Belfield a little bit sooner than that. Let me get the direction to Belfield. Let me get the estimated time to where it would be close to Belfield. I think with the latest movement of the storm showing the rotating part of the storm will be just south of you. Belfield, you are not in the tornado warning. That's south of you. We'll go ahead and estimate the timing on this as I look for my buttons to push. Here we go. Belfield in about 48 minutes because it's a slower moving storm. That storm is on the ground. Another tornado warning going out from the National Weather Service. We got you. Thank you very much. For the updates, National Weather Service doing a good job keeping people safe. And the idea of these storm warnings is to get the warning out there and give what's called a lead time, so you have some time to prepare for the weather that's coming your way. Now, a check on this northern storm. I know we have eyeballs on that particular one, and my eyeballs are on you to see. Thank you very much, Chad. I really appreciate the kind words. Grand Forks says, watching here. Judy, good to have you on board. I'm checking with my YouTube channel right quick to see if I'm getting updates there. Hey, Hutch from Perham, good to have you on board, Deb. And also I'm seeing that essentially these storms are showing some very, very tight rotation right in the area of the watch. These are the only two storms, by the way, right now that we're seeing of significance on the Doppler radar. Let's look at the Deering radar near the Minot area. Again, we're looking at velocities there. Let me flop this back over to reflectivity and see a lot of activity north of Minot. This is not expected to be severe. There's no watch for your area right now. And in fact, the risk of severe is mainly western and central North Dakota. The Storm Prediction Center, because of this nonsense up here, has trimmed Minot out of that enhanced risk area. The risk in Minot has been lowered this afternoon for your area. Why? Because of this nonsense. It's actually helping to stabilize the atmosphere, or at least make it more stable than what's going on out to the west. For my family, My family in Glendive, Montana, let me take a look at this warning for you. You've got a storm out there. It's north of Terry. It's heading out of Miles City area, and it's moving right in towards you. The warning from the National Weather Service is for 1.25 or half-dollar-inch hail and 60 miles per hour. Now, here's the skinny on this big storm. It's big, but the skinny is the hail core is only going to impact a small area. Not all of you are going to see ping pong ball size hail. That's the good news. But the capability is there for this storm way out in radar no man's land. This is a long ways from anywhere. The radars are looking at the top slice of the storm. It's very high up there. So we're not seeing a huge pink reflectivity display here like you would see on a scary storm, but we're looking high up in the clouds. We got to remember what this is telling us is golf ball and ping pong ball size hail and larger are not necessarily in the tops of the clouds there. This is a dangerous storm. Let's look at the motion. It's moving out of the Fallon area. If you've ever been on that stretch of highway of I-94, fun, beautiful scenery there, right along the Yellowstone River as it works its way from and out of Billings and through Miles City and on towards Glendive. This would be on the Yellowstone River side of I-94 here as it's moving its way, and it looks like the brunt of the hail core will be passing out of Fallon into areas just south of Glendive. And the National Weather Service says this particular storm cell has a speed of only 25 miles per hour. So Hutch will give you a time estimate in and around the Glendive area of when this cell will be near you. Now you're going to get the rain part of the storm first in Glendive, and that does look like it has a little bit of a northeasterly trajectory. I'm going to put it at 28 miles per hour to give us a little bit of a delay here, just in case there's some problems with your service or my service, and we end up buffering a little bit. Colgate, 19 minutes. Curry, 35 minutes, and on towards Hodges in 55 minutes. It's an hour away yet. So as far as the crow flies in and around the Glendive area, we can see that this storm is not too far out there from you on the west side of town there, okay, as you're coming into town on I-94 from the west. Only 13 miles away, moving at 25 miles per hour. That puts it almost exactly a half hour away from Glendive. You'll be on the north side of this. You are in the warning. Prepare for hail. With any luck at all, it's going to be skirting real close to Makoshika State Park out there in a beautiful country in the Yellowstone River Valley and heading on up towards Webo. 2 active tornado warnings. We have a Sydney, Montana storm here that still has some pink in it, some potential for hail. And you have a warning, in effect, a severe thunderstorm warning. This storm capable of ping pong balls and 70 mile per hour winds and a considerable damage threat from that particular storm. Linda, good to have you on board watching on my YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching there. Love to have the likes and subscribes if you don't mind. And let's take a look. Washburn, do I need to get my mom downstairs? Sonny, not yet. It's a long ways out from Washburn, but it's something to just make sure she knows that there is a nasty line of storms that will be heading. My timing on that has been right around the 11 to midnight hour for the Highway 83 corridor between Minot and Bismarck. So I think unless these things really speed up, we're still looking at somewhere closer to the 11 to midnight time frame. And just keep that in mind. They can speed up, and I'll keep you apprised of the situation. Here is a look at the storm heading towards Sydney, Montana, out in the oil patch. This is in eastern Montana. Sydney, Montana, 20 mile per hour speed of movement of the storms. It's basically more than an hour away from Sydney, the way it looks. Let me go ahead and time this out. And as the crow flies, I'll measure first. The rain and the top of the cloud is only 15 miles from Sydney. The hail core is down here where we see the pink, where my little fancy white glove is, okay? So we'll give you the white glove timing treatment here, and this hail core, we'll watch it move. So you can see the hail core is moving almost due east. You're going to be in Sydney on the very heavy rain and possible hail track, but the largest of the hail core, with any luck at all, stays south of Sydney proper. Again, only moving at 25. I'm putting it at 28. Let's talk about when it'll be and where it'll be. 36 minutes away from Midway. Crane, 42 minutes. So it's a ways away from anything staying over the rural portions of the county. It will be crossing over the Highway 16 corridor, not far from Knife River, as you see there. So that's a nasty storm. And now we're starting to see a little bit of reflectivity displays in that's even blue from time to time. So these are some towering thunderstorm clouds. As we take a look, we got a new tornado warning issued, and I want to get right back on that storm. Let's see what the National Weather Service, this is a radar indicated tornado still. I want to just double check this. So pardon me while I'm clicking on this map, trying to click on the latest warning. Here we go. Radar indicated tornado warning. Ping pong ball size hail. Do you see how this newest warning is steering this storm in a subtly different direction? So instead of this east movement, now the Weather Service says, nope, this puppy's heading down a little bit to the south of east. So it's moving southeast now. And let's take a look at the latest measurement from the Weather Service on speed of movement. Moving east, it says at 25 miles per hour is that tornado warned storm. I'm going to double check that one more time because I like to be, it looks like it has a little more southerly track to it actually to me. Just got home, Grand Forks, and the little late on the update. Yep. Thank you very much, Cindy. I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for watching. If you watch, I'm gonna loop a few more frames of this radar so we can get a better feel for the movement of the rotating part of the storm. You see that? Yeah, it is moving east. The hail core is moving east here, but the new tornado warning does slide down a little bit south. Here is the area of spin, and it does look like to me, does it look like this to you? Like it's trending just a little bit south of east. Now, when you take a look at this, I'm seeing evidence right here of possibly if there's a tornado on the ground or even aloft. Remember, we're looking at information that's way above the ground and about a middle slice through the cloud. There is some areas where we're seeing this little weakening of the reflectivities in the middle. That's where the rotation is just by looking at the display. Let's take a look at the timing and track of this. There's the center of rotation. I'm going to put it a little south of east for the movement. I'm going to keep it at about that 25 mile per hour velocity. It's mainly over rural parts, but heading in the general direction of Fairfield in 35 minutes. So it's a slow mover. It's creeping and crawling right toward the Highway 85 corridor. Storm moving in on Belfield is also tornado warned, just for you folks down there on the southern half of Highway 85. This would be south of Interstate 94. So here's 94, here's Medora. You getting sandwiched in and around Medora with a couple of doozies of storms. Is Fargo going to get this weather? Elaine, great question. I'm going to take a time out and talk to you. After midnight tonight, there'll be a chance for eastern North Dakota to get windy storms, but I do not believe our risk for tornadoes is high. At best, we'll have some thunderstorms that'll be capable of some smaller hail and some gusty wind tonight. So no. Terry, thank you. Love that you're watching from the Holly area. Thank you for checking in. Timing the storms for around Hannaford, North Dakota. That's a little ways out. So as you're looking off to the eastern third of the state and even in towards Hannaford, as you go into this, it does look like to me it's going to be still maybe 11 to midnight in your area. And that's just the gut, and these can speed up a little bit. So, and they still could be strong in Hannaford. So the risk area right now, the watches are all out to the far west, okay? And we'll reassess as these storms encroach on Bismarck. I'm timing them into Bismarck at around 10 o'clock. So somewhere in that time frame. Then more close to midnight as we get to the James River Valley. I think our viewers and watchers here in Jamestown and out towards, say, Ellendale and all of these areas along the South Dakota border, that's where I'd expect to have the real potential for some nasties going through. Checking in on northeast Montana, by the way, there is a severe thunderstorm watch up here, but the radar echoes up here, garden variety showers, but very windy. These can generate some terribly strong winds even after the storms move through. That's good. Brenda from Beach. All right. Batten down the beach towel. You got a line of storms coming out of the Big Sky country there in Montana, heading right towards Beach, North Dakota. From your neighbors in Y-Box is how it's spelled, but we pronounce it how? Webo. That's right. Webo, Montana. Okay, that storm now with the warned tornado warned storm as very close to the Highway 85 corridor. I'm going to take a look at a couple of cameras here out in North Dakota. And thank you for all of your comments here on the coverage. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it, Jake, very much. Mary watching in Fergus Falls. Good news for you, Mary. The risk of severe storms in Fergus Falls is very low, but the rain chance is quite high. Here is a look at the storm heading towards Dickinson. We have a couple of different views for this. Let's see. It's real hard to see from Medora as we take a look at the dark clouds. Boy, the skies are getting dark. But all of the action is splitting around Medora right now. There's only a couple of huge rotating supercell thunderstorms that are big nasties, and they're heading right towards that Belfield area. Let's take a look on Highway 85. There's a camera on the north side of Belfield. Let's see if we can look south. We should be peering right into it, but there's hills and terrain there that can block our view. Oh yeah, there you go. Now you're looking on Highway 85. This is looking out towards the Belfield area, and there's your storm. So that's what we're seeing, long ways away, and the rotating part of the storm that we're looking for is probably down below the curvature of the earth. Yeah, curved, not flat. That's Hutch's thought on that. Let's take a look. We got some minivans out there. Anybody driving in this area, you'll just want to remember some of those tornado precautions that we've been talking about, but you don't want to meet up with one of these thunderstorms with only a car to protect you from the winds or the debris. Moving up north a little bit, let's see what we can see on that storm that's moving down towards, well, Fairfield. So there was a tornado of, I want to remember, early 2000s right out in Fairfield. I remember a viewer sending a picture of it back when I worked in Bismarck for so many years. Hi, all of you from the Bismarck area. I hope you all are doing well. It's going to be an active night of weather out in your country. Looking at different cameras, and I'm just kind of clicking to see if I can find something that has a little bit of a view of this storm. Now, it's all south of Arngard. We can look, and again, the sky is great, and these cameras are meant to look at road conditions, not sky conditions. As a meteorologist, I want to look at the sky, not the road. But you know what? We need these cameras to keep our eyes on the road conditions. What about Stanley, North Dakota, Shelley? Yes, Stanley, North Dakota is definitely in the track of some severe potential for the night tonight. So keep that in mind. Right now, though, again, as the forecast models showed earlier, the activity is mainly what we would call isolated in nature. There's a couple of cells in North Dakota, and that's it. Let me get that radar back up there. Jill Ackerman, hi. Gosh, it's good to see that name. Tell that husband of yours howdy and hi from Hutch. Hope Tom is doing good, and I hope you all are doing good. First and foremost, out near the Dickinson area, and here there's a couple of cells. There's one crossing the border back here, and that's just out of Knife, moving out of the Knife River Valley, south of Watford City. So the oil patch is getting some hot and heavy storms. This tornadic storm is heading right towards South Hart and in the general direction of Dickinson. Look at this one too. It's moving in the general direction of Dickinson. So those two, as we rotate the radar here and loop it, you see this one's kind of has a little southeasterly trajectory. This one here with just a subtle northerly shift and wiggle as it works its way through those storms. Very dangerous. And again, it won't be long, and we may have a little bit of a view from a couple of the cameras on I-94. Thank you very much for the best wishes. Devil's Lake watching, and Susan, thank you very much. Let's take a look at this storm moving into Glendive now. For those of you that don't know, I have some family right in Glendive. So in Glendive, get ready for a very windy storm. You can actually see this storm, the whole storm itself, rotating in this counterclockwise fashion. The hail core is here. It's hard to tell exactly what's falling out of the bottom of the cloud. That's why we rely on your reports. I've got a video, a picture here, I should say. Yep, looking at some supercell thunderstorms out there in the plains of western North Dakota. Let me go to Montana and see what my friends are saying out there. I may have to add this in so I can get this loaded in here. Let me go to Billings, BYZ. Okay. Sorry, Billings, I didn't have that loaded right up for you folks in eastern Montana. It does look like we got reports of power lines down, tree branches falling in town, strong winds, Sheridan near the courthouse. So that's what's going on way out there. That's way out there, and that's from 4:50 p.m. Mountain Time, 5:50, so not that long ago. So we got some power outages. Let's tell you that that's an issue tonight. That's a possibility tonight. These are very windy storms. Look at this out in South Dakota, too. A couple of thunderstorms roaming to the east of Rapid City and to the north there. So that's not too far from the Black Hills, rolling just north of Wall Drug out there in the Badlands. Beautiful country out there. The thunderstorm is out there not far from the Highway 73 corridor. Hail potential with this particular cell is significant. Look how little it looks compared to what's going on in Montana. But this one's a lot closer to the radar. So we're seeing detail more in the lower part of the cloud, a lower slice of the cloud, if you will. Okay, let's take a look at this Montana action in Glendive. Here is a look again. I want to switch over to the Glendive radar. 60-mile-per-hour winds. Do you see this backwards C shape? This spreads all the way south as the storm moves out of the Fallon area, heading towards Golva. That's a real gusty part of the storm. Here's outflow. In this pocket right here, we'll probably have some nasty, gusty winds from Fallon and on out to areas just north of you folks in the Plevna and Baker area, Ekalaka, this whole area of southeast Montana. Going to see some pretty windy thunderstorms. And again, you're a long ways from any radars out there. The strongest cell's moving right into Glendive now. So if you're watching from Glendive and you happen to be checking out Hutch's weather here, let me know what you're seeing. Your word does help a great deal. Let me check out my comments here. Thank you, Gail, for the kind words. Hope your family and friends in Montana are safe. I sure hope so, too. They're sure keeping their eyes on the weather in Glendive. They're hearing this storm move in right now. I want to give you a little bit of a pointer here. So Bismarck, there's a radar here in Bismarck, right at the National Weather Service office by the airport. There's one in Billings, Montana, likewise, by the airport. Thanks, Joanne. Appreciate you. See how this state line is halfway between these places? It's so far away from the radar sites. The radar beam goes up at an angle, and we're looking at the cloud tops. So those are some slices that are high up in the clouds, and that doesn't always tell us what's falling out of the bottom of the clouds. So that's why we really love to have your reports of what's going on and what you're seeing as these storms encroach on Belfield and Fairfield on the Highway 85 corridor running north-south through western North Dakota. 2 tornado-warned storms. Let's get the latest. Radar-indicated tornado continues. I'm going to switch over to the radar in North Dakota. Let's look at the velocities. We still see a huge, bright green next to a bright red. That's where the rotation is. As the crow flies, Hutch will measure this for you so we can measure where the rotating part of the storm is. It is, whoopsies, I grabbed the wrong tool out of my toolbox here. Instead of the pliers, I need the screwdriver. This is 15 miles away from Highway 85. So this is only 15 miles away, moving at 25 to 30 miles per hour. So it's about a half hour away still from you located anywhere near the Highway 85 corridor. It's moving east-southeast, a little bit of a southerly trajectory. I'm going to pop it in at 28. I know that's a little fast of the latest measurements, but 20 minutes from Gorham. Fairfield, 28 minutes. You have time to prepare, batten down the hatches. Very strong and gusty straight-line winds are going to be possible from this storm out there in the Big Sky country. Oh, no. Actually, it's Big Sky, North Dakota, right? The western reaches of North Dakota. Let's go ahead and take a look at the storm moving into Belfield. Ooh, still some very tight rotation picked up here. That's moving in that direction of South Hart, also at 25 miles per hour. That rotation is almost moving due east. It looks like it will stay south of the Belfield area, but we definitely have that spin showing up very strong. And notice how the lightning is really piling up in this area too. That's where the updraft is. That's where the energy is. That's where the friction is to create that static electricity in the cloud. So oftentimes the most intense lightning strikes and the most frequent lightning strikes are associated with the strongest areas of updraft. So that's heading in this general direction, more of an easterly trek to this particular cell. That hopefully is going to be a trend that keeps it south of the more populated area in Dickinson. But we all know there's a lot of oil fields out in these areas. We're going to put this at 26 miles per hour, moving east-northeast. Dalgam, in about 45 minutes or so, it'll be near you. So again, very rural view of these storms out here trudging their way through. I'm trying to look at all channels here and keep you informed the best I can. Thanks, Darren, for watching. Just tuned in. What should you expect in the FM area tonight? Darren, in short, we have a long ways to go before these storms are going to work their way anywhere near the Fargo area. In fact, it's going to be likely midnight or after. I'm guessing 10 p.m. for the Bismarck area too. So here they are as we approach the 6 o'clock hour here, approaching Dickinson. 10 o'clock to the Bismarck area, midnight for us. The risk of severe drops off once we get to the east of, say, Jamestown. There's still going to be some very windy thunderstorms. Thank you, Joanne, for your comments. I appreciate it very much. And if you are so inclined on the YouTube channel watchers, hit the like button. That really does help. And again, sharing the word that Hutch is out here, keeping his eyes on the skies for you. All right, let's take a look at the cloud top heights from the Bismarck radar here. Let's see how high these puppies are soaring into the atmosphere. Some of these updrafts are going to be strong enough to bring them up pretty high. I'm going to put my crosshairs on here, and what we're going to look at is where the orange colors are. I believe that's 50,000 footers. Yep. So we have 50,000 foot thunderstorm clouds. That's not too far from 4.5 and 5 miles up there as we go 5,280 feet, and that's 52,000 feet in the air. That's a 10-miler right there. You can see that one coming from a long ways away. So you may be in Bismarck and seeing these towers out there. Let's test that theory. It might be cloudy, but we're going to look on this together because this is what meteorologists like to do when we're looking at storms. And let's check all the way from you folks in the New Salem, Sioux area. We can't see clearly the towers because there's too many other storms and gray clouds kind of muddling things up. Now we're looking from the Beulah area. Got a few viewers out there. Hi, Beulah. Hi, Hazen. Yep, it's a little bit too far away, and we're looking at more road there. So at any rate, let's look from Dickinson and see if we can see these storms getting ready to push into your area, mainly to the south of you. There is a tornado-warned storm. Hopefully it continues to stay south. Not seeing anything from that view that is enlightening to Hutch. Here is aptly named the hailstone area on I-94 for tonight's weather. Hailstone, you can see the lower clouds on the horizon out there. Those are the storms approaching from the west. Now you're looking north across the interstate. So essentially having a hard time seeing much. Let's see if we can get a view all the way down here south of the Dickinson area. Image not available. How about by Amadon? Love the Amadon area. Love the cop car that's sitting there on the street corner waiting for you that's got the officer in it. You know what I'm talking about if you've been driving with velocity into the Amadon area. See those low clouds over there? That's the updraft part of the storm right there. There's a rain-free base right here, a flat base to the thunderstorm. You're looking at that from Amadon. That's a long ways away, but there are a couple of nasty storms to the north of you. It's not going to hit the Amadon area. Looking from this perspective, now we can start to see some of those darker clouds with some rain bands falling out of the clouds as well in that particular area. Pretty good sight, pretty good view from the Amadon area at those storms a long ways away. Let's look from Medora one more time. We did this a little earlier. I think all we're going to see is the terrain out there. Yeah, that's all we're going to be capable of seeing. How about out in the Glendive area? Let's check in on Glendive, Montana, and on my relatives out in the eastern corners of southeast Montana. So this is a big area out here, but let's go back. There's Miles City, and we'll look at some information from the folks as far as the power outages go. This is from Beaver Hill. Look at the tower. Holy smokes. Holy smokes, says Hutch. I can't point to this right now, but let me see. No, I'm not. I'm not going to change it. That tower in the distance, you see all the power lines and the towers out there. Then there is the white bubble out there. You are looking from Beaver Hill at the storms that appear to see how they're white? That means the sun is behind us. So in all likelihood, this is the storm, one of the tornado-warned storms in North Dakota. And you're seeing that all the way from Beaver Hill outside of Glendive. This is not the storm moving over Glendive because we'd be looking into the sun and the clouds would have a darker appearance. Does that make any sense? I hope so. That's talking science to the best of my ability. Let's go to the Knife River Station here and take a look at what we got going on. And then I do want to look at the reports of power outages. So here's the Knife River. You're looking at those low clouds and thunder showers in the area. I am not seeing any evidence of anything over Knife River right now, but boy, are those skies dark. How about let's take a look now at power outages. And then we do have an update for you on the radar real quick. For you folks in Dickinson, you folks in Belfield, the tornado warning has been allowed to expire, at least at the present time. There is rotation on this storm. It is heading mainly with the core of the storm to very near Belfield and points south of Belfield, okay? Western parts of Stark County here in the warning, as well as you folks just south of Medora. Tornadoes possible. Golf balls, considerable damage threat. So keep that in mind. Good news. Pardon me, please. Good news for the folks of Western North Dakota. One of the tornado warned storms has seen the tornado warning expire. This storm here has lime, 2-inch diameter hail. Now this storm is really starting to ramp up there. What are we seeing north of Medora? That is one nasty storm. 2-inch size hail and still some rotation. Let's check that rotation. I'm going to look with what we call storm relative velocity. This subtracts the motion of the storm, which is minimal. Bright reds next to bright greens, that continues. Now, if a storm lofts debris in the air, debris looks different to the radar than raindrops do. So there are a couple of products with the new National Weather Service upgrades that were done here, plenty of time ago. I call it new, but I've been doing this for a long time. This dual polarization information can help us see where we have different looking targets that the radar beam is bouncing off of. This is called differential reflectivity. And when there's a high difference between the horizontal and vertical polarized, then we've got a flat object. So high difference in these two different polarized ways could be a raindrop, but it could also be, if we have a very high difference in those, well, that if you can imagine, debris does not always have a spherical shape. So spherical shape round objects show a low difference in the amount of energy returned to the radar. That's the grays. Hailstones sometimes are very nice and round, by the way. So we look for the gray areas here for the hail core, and I see a hail core right in this area. Okay, so right where the dark reds and pinks are with the lime-sized hail. And we're seeing some differences in the display of the reflectivity on the south side of the storm. Does that mean debris is getting lofted up that high in the atmosphere? This is going to be miles above the ground. Thank you, Bonnie, for tagging this. But this storm here is very dangerous. I'm going to look at one more product called the correlation. How much are they alike, the targets? If they're a lot alike, and then it's probably not debris. So what we're seeing is we got a lot of targets that are not alike in this central part of the storm there. Let's loop it and see if it's got this. Yeah, you can see that on this display, you got this blue on the outside. So the targets are a lot more alike where it's blue down here. And the correlation is high on the lower values and not so high. So essentially, it's going to be real hard to see what we would call a tornado signature or tornado debris signature using those tools as high up as these are. Desiree, good to have you on board. You're welcome for covering Jessica. Let me know. Let's see. Thank you from Golden Lake. Donna, good luck tonight. I think Golden Lake will be spared some of the worst of the storms. It's mainly on the way out. Looking for a question. Somebody asked a question here, and I think I missed it. Okay. All right. So we still have rotation. We still have velocity showing up on this storm. Here is a look at the hail core where the pink is. That's heading right to the Highway 85 corridor. It runs north and south. You're looking near Fairfield, North Dakota. Okay. So it's pretty rural out there. The storm moving through Glendive and out of Glendive. We're going to take a long, big picture look at this system. But first, I heard power outages, power lines down in Montana. Let's take a look. Here's a look at, let's go to Montana with this. Now, not all of Montana, because it's so rural, is covered here, but you see the red county there? So this is not far from Dawson County. This is Prairie County. This is not far from the Miles City area, but it's south of Glendive. Check this out. We've got a number of customers without power there. About 500 of the 600 that are tracked are without power. So that's pretty significant in that rural area of eastern Montana there. A couple of other power outage issues in the area there, but that looks to be the troublesome one at that time. Let's look in North Dakota and see if we have any power outages right quick. I'm going to have to go back to the map. We'll click on it, and it looks like we've got, for now, good conditions, and power outages appear to be minimal and not an issue right now in parts of western North Dakota. There's a tornado risk tonight. Weather Service has issued a tornado watch. There's an active tornado warning as well. That's happening out in rural portions of western North Dakota, just north of Interstate 94. And north of Dickinson, this storm is heading in the general direction of Dickinson. These are a long ways out. I'm going to take a moment, and what I'm doing now is loading up some content on the very latest forecast model for you. Let's take a look at that real quickly. I'm going to zoom this into the Northern Plains real quickly here. Sorry about that, and I appreciate your patience with me while I load up the correct sector. This is an hourly updated model. Let me see. I'm going to have to go get something a lot more new here. Let's go down a couple. Let's go to this one. We're just interested in the evening forecast. This hourly updating model shows that these storms will be brewing here into the evening hours, moving into Montana as we cross into about the 7 to 8 o'clock time frame. That's now. This is pretty close to on track. We do have a smattering of storms down in South Dakota, but more isolated in nature. That too is on track. Why is it isolated down here? There's energy down here. The upper atmosphere is a lot hotter. That caps it, and it limits the storm development. The upper atmosphere up here a little cooler, and it's allowing for these storms to roll. Now, as you go through, we get this backward C shape heading right into Max, heading right into the Lake Sakakawea area. This would be a very windy line of storms. Wind is going to be the main threat up here. The tornado threat will likely focus on the I-94 corridor and point south. The way it looks to me, the way the energy is and the spin in the atmosphere is, that's what it looks like. The timing on this now is 10 o'clock Central Time. The storms cross into central North Dakota from Minot down through Bismarck, Mandan, and in towards Mobridge, South Dakota, Ziebach County. If you get down here, these storms will still be stout. This is at 10 o'clock. Our area, Fargo, we'll have showers and some rumbles of thunder, but this is not going to be severe. The main event is still here. Will the main event last into the valley? Here we go as we go towards midnight. There's midnight, Grand Forks, Jamestown, Valley City, and on into eastern thirds of South Dakota. Very heavy rain is going to be a possibility from these storms as well. I'm going to go ahead. Good to have you here, Rex. Good to have you here, Julie. I'm going to go ahead and throw up the information on the rainfall amounts that I prepared for the show. Keep in mind that the individual track of the thunderstorms can increase these amounts by a considerable amount. And no model does a good job consistently of tracking exactly where a thunderstorm is going to move. That said, here you go. The greatest risk for some very heavy rain is going to be along and south of Interstate 94. That does include Jamestown, Valley City, southeast North Dakota, Lakes Country. Both Otter Tail and Becker County are in a good line for a good half inch of rain. So how you read the numbers here, a half inch is going to be likely, up to 1.5 for some, and up to even more under the gully washers or repeated gully washers. Storms moving into the Minot area will bring a very nice heavy dose of rain to you, and wind though too. Be prepared for that, and some hail. And out in the western parts of North Dakota, Dickinson, Bismarck, this looks to be on target with where the individual cells are meandering right now. And the rainfall amounts there will be 1 inch to 1.5 inches. And yes, that does include you in Beulah, Hazen as well. So that's a look at what's going on right now. I am going to, for my national viewers, take a look at the big picture nationally. We have heat warnings in Peach showing up down here as I look at the radar. Those are, heat advisories in this purplish color. That's heat warnings for portions of Oklahoma, North Texas. As we go all the way along the front range of the Rocky Mountains here in Colorado, western Nebraska, western Kansas, these are severe thunderstorm watches on the western slope of the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, not far from Grand Junction out there. There's actually a tiny little severe thunderstorm warning. If you've ever been out here, very mountainous terrain, and it's not impossible to see severe thunderstorms or even tornadoes form in these portions of the mountainous terrain. Incredible. The greater chance for the robust storms tonight will be taking place as we look into the sand hills of Nebraska, down into parts of western Kansas. A look at the radar there showing we don't have much going on in Kansas right now. In south of North Platte, Nebraska, though, I should say, we do have a strong thunderstorm cell developing in that Ogallala area of I-80. Goodland, Kansas, here we go, a line of storms kind of making its way into your general area, and they're fairly isolated in nature now. Things are just getting started in those areas. As we dive up or jump up a little bit north into Wyoming, Gillette has a smattering of thunderstorm warnings, including in and around, wow, this is a huge area of warning for what looks like one little storm here. But let's go to, that's the Rapid City radar. It can't see all of the sites that there are to see over the Black Hills and the terrain there. So there is some areas out here that don't have very great severe weather radar coverage, just like we see in parts of Montana. This storm's capable mainly of the 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, says the National Weather Service forecast office. And the office here is Rapid City, South Dakota. Storms moving basically east at 40 miles per hour, and mainly is going to be concerned, we will be mainly concerned with the gusts potentially produced by that storm. So there is a bunch of severe thunderstorm activity out here, none stronger than in western North Dakota. Tornado warning, look at this, continues for the storms heading towards Fairfield and the Fairfield area. Let me see here. I'm going to take a look at some National Weather Service information. Downed power lines. Okay, that one I've got. Let me go back here and see what's going on from my friends in, let's go to Bismarck. Okay. Yep, we've got some nasty reports of funnel clouds that the storm spotters that are all out in abundance out here in the western part of North Dakota are seeing. So still a dangerous storm as it works its way into parts of western North Dakota right now. And pardon me while I'm typing a question. Okay. Okay, so if you are in Fairfield, North Dakota, you're going to be right on the northern side of this. The rotating part of the thunderstorm is on the south. Do you see this blinking thunderstorm warning here? The National Weather Service has just issued another severe thunderstorm warning with the tag tornado possible, lime-sized hail. This is for areas in and around the Fairfield area. Do you see this little bite taken out of the storm right there, that hole? I want you to think of some science here with me. If you have a rotating thunderstorm with a tight rotation, it can act like a centrifuge, and the raindrops and hailstones, they get thrown out of that spin. And I think that's what we're looking at. This could be a rain-wrapped tornado, or at least the rotation at cloud level is throwing the rain out of the base of that storm. That is a nasty storm. Now, for storm chasers, when they see something like this, they know that they don't want to be driving through the rain because there could be a tornado on the other side of it. This is not a photogenic type situation in all likelihood if there's rain and hail falling on the front side of this. So if there's chasers here, you're going to have a hard time seeing it. Chasers over on the other side won't see nothing because of the hail. As we look at the crooks in the road here, Fairfield's located, I think, right in this area right here. This hail core is heading towards you. The rotating part of the storm is heading towards your area. If you are in Fairfield and points south of there, please heed the warning. Seek shelter in that interior room. Stay away from the windows. And this is one nasty storm here heading its way through Billings County. We do have, yeah, that's in the right spot. Fairfield, this storm is moving right towards you and Gorham. Let's go ahead and put the tracker on this. I think my radar is getting a little tired here. Okay. All right. So this is going to be near Gorham in 8 minutes. So that gives you a little feel for how far away it is. The tornado warning has been allowed to be expired by the National Weather Service office just now. So the rotating thunderstorm with the lime-sized hail potential, Gusty winds upwards of 60 miles per hour will be pushing towards Gorham shortly. Batten down the hatches, Gorham. Newraddick as we go towards an hour from now. And Fairfield is in this area here. I am certain of it. So basically we got the one. Yeah. Yeah. So Fairfield, you're in the path of this particular storm that has some rotation too. So the whole Highway 85 corridor north of Belfield, this storm that's moving is very dangerous. It's completely nasty. Moving into Belfield right now, we have a severe warned storm. Notice the new warning from the National Weather Service with this storm. It has it in southern Stark County, moving almost due east. So as we look at the loop of the radar data, you can see that this storm, which was formerly tornado warned, moving due east and likely will pass just south of the Dickinson area, hopefully. So Glendive, you're still in a warning there. The severe thunderstorm warning is heading out of your area, but still on the backside of this storm, because of this backward C shape, we were talking about that, there's likely some very strong outflow winds right here on this downdraft part of the thunderstorm back here. So sometimes those upper level winds can get thrown your way. If you're in Beach, if you're in Webo, these storms are heading right towards you, and there is not a warning for your particular area for the wind right now, but those could be some quite windy storms, so keep that in mind. Sydney, Montana warnings in effect for you. I'll go ahead and take a look at the Knife River Station area all the way up towards the Sydney area, and we're looking at a stout thunderstorm. It's a long ways from any radar here, so we're looking very high up at the cloud level. It doesn't look as impressive as some of the other storms to the west, and that's likely a result of the fact that we're looking so high in the storm. This storm's capabilities per the Weather Service office, ping pong balls and 70-mile-per-hour winds, says Glasgow, Montana, the National Weather Service there. This one is moving off, move my melon out of the way, to the east at 20 miles per hour. So be prepared in Sydney for some very damaging straight line wind potential from this storm and a hail core too. Looks like the main port of the hail core and the wind is going to be Sydney and point south towards Knife River, Fox Lake also in that particular warned storm. So Wolf Point, Montana. Most of the activity there is north of you. This is the Glasgow radar, so we're getting a good view of areas north of Wolf Point here. Mainly rural areas of northeast Montana. A lot of crops up here, right? We don't want hail. The good news is wind is going to be the main threat with this. That can also do damage to some wheat and stuff like that that's planted up there in northeast Montana. But just to let you know, the strongest of the storm is going to follow just to the south here of that Missouri River Valley as you look down here near Sydney and in towards Williston. So you're looking at Fort Peck Reservoir and Fort Peck Dam, and here is Williston as it goes and rolls into Lake Sakakawea. So that's what we have going on. Tornado warnings have been allowed to expire for now. We have some nasty storms working their way into western North Dakota. I am going to take a bit of a break. I'm going to I'm just going to reload here and get the information out to you as fast as I can. I want to thank you for watching Hutch's Weather. I want to thank you for supporting Hutch's Weather. I want to thank you very, very much for passing the good word on here that Hutch is covering weather right here. So let me see what we've got here. And this looks like, okay, let me see. Let me skip over that and go. Okay, so yeah, it looks like we've got a link to Reed Timmer. Thank you for putting a link to Reed in there, and we can see what he's got going on as storms are. I will not rebroadcast his work because that's not ethical, but I can tell you it's good to keep an eye on it. And it's kind of fun to listen to Hutch while Reed is racing through the area, rocking the storms there too. So yeah, he's got a couple of chasing partners there that are going into the areas. A lot of rural roads here. It's very hard to get around and get to the storm where you need to see it. And that's the hard part of chasing storms. But they do a service to us by spotting these storms and telling us which ones are the nasty ones, whether they're rotating or not, and what's going on. So we'll continue to monitor things for you right here. You're watching Hutch's Weather. Thank you for your support, and I'll be back throughout the evening. Kathy, thank you very much. And I'll have a forecast update a little closer to the 9 o'clock hour. Hutch will keep busy monitoring storms, but not as busy as you folks in western North Dakota. If storms move into your area in western North Dakota, the risk of severe weather is great. The risk of tornadoes is there. Remember, we talked about this before. If you're going to make peanut brittle, you can sometimes have all the necessary ingredients. You get your sugar, you get your nuts, and you put them all together. And does it always make good peanut brittle? No. So we have all the ingredients out here for spinning thunderstorms, but we don't always make tornadoes from every storm. But there's a watch, meaning the ingredients are there for spinning thunderstorms. They could produce a strong tornado tonight. The signatures that we're seeing on the velocity is quite strong, so we'll keep our eyes on it. Thanks again for watching. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Thanks for your likes and follows right here on Facebook, on YouTube. Thanks for the subscriptions and the likes as well. Have a good evening. I'll be back with updates on a stormy night across the Northern Plains.